Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Buxton, the Technical Trader at TechTrader.com. It's Thursday, January the 11th. These are the charts of the day. Another good day on Wall Street. New record highs. Lots of our stocks are running. Swing trades and day trades. Well, so far so good. We'll keep it riding until the music stops, as they say. Look, we're going to start off with ADMS today. A lot of biotechs did great, but ADMS has had a 1-2 and a 3-4. This fourth wave consolidation is very impressive now for 5 weeks. Almost 6. It looks to me like if it pops here, and today was a big day up 205 or 11%, volume picked up a little bit, but if it pops above this 37.8 zone, I think it's going to be a $45 stock, so keep tabs on this one. Looks real interesting. Up next is ANF, one of our swing trades. It's doing well. As you can see, the inverse head and shoulders, a breakaway gap in the rising pattern today, made a new high. That's up near my resistance, and at this gap here, which is my initial target, about 3 3.25 range. So that's not correct, is it? I'm sorry, 19.5. So if we can get to 19.5, we should see 23 and beyond. But for now, let's see what happens if it does get there, whether it blows through it or not. If it does, and that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave could be pretty powerful, mid to high 20s. Arrowhead, well, acting great in here. It's a recent new swing trade. Again, appreciation to Kathy for giving it to us. Stock has moved nicely. After coming out of this kind of a falling channel over the last 3 months or so, it spiked and then pulled back for a little falling wedge, and today broke out. With 4.9 million shares, up 64 cents or 14.5%. This looks pretty good. 6 and 8 are targets going forward. CMCM exploded. I'm not necessarily sure I want to do anything more than maybe peel it back in here, because it's had a 1, 2, 3, and that kind of a measured move equal to the first leg, and at resistance, I'm looking for a pullback. What I'd like to see is that if CMCM can do kind of a 50% retrace towards maybe 15.5, 16, something of that nature, and consolidate nicely like it did there, maybe we can get a wave 5 to 21. 7.5 days to cover on that. And how about Collegium? Finally broke that wedge with a pop of $1.38 or 7.3% on the best volume in a month. So for me, if this gets through here, this little double top at 20.90, 21, we're going right to 23.4, and we may go higher than that, and I mean quickly. Big short position, 22.4 days to cover. CRC extended its move after consolidating a little 5-day little flag last week on lower volume. It popped a bigger volume today, 3 million shares. It looks really good. I think that we're going to see the stock get up to about 25 and then maybe 27.8 on a shorter term time frame, but 12.5 days to cover. Really good chart. CRR broke out after breaking the wedge and popping across resistance. You can see that little flag it was in for 5 days. It popped today. Now, it didn't close great, but it was still up 35 cents or 3%. For me, the top of the channel and the target is, and lateral resistance comes in around just under 14. We'll see if we can get there. Beyond that, we're looking at 16.5 plus. 13.7 days to cover. And how about our first solar? This has been stellar since I gave it to you in May. It just keeps channeling up. It looks great. Beautiful flags along the way and wedges, and there's another one there which popped today on 6.3 million, up 663 or 9.5%. It is at the top of the channel, but I think this may accelerate. If I'm not mistaken, it may have already started that, and if this is the angle of ascent, and then the top of that channel could be in the mid 80s here, so keep an eye on this one. This can run. 80 and 85 are my targets going forward. FSNN. Well, it's a new one I put out today, and the reason I put it out is because I've been talking to an institutional client of mine who loves the fundamental story. I like the technicals too. I've been watching the base break out a wedge, and then it popped and flagged. The flag broke today. I'm looking for 5 and then 7.5. I think that will, maybe 5.25 and 7.5 would be targets going forward. I have 5, 5.25 and 7, so let's see if that gets to those levels, and there is some support here at 340. Glycomimetics, GLYC, swing from back in here, and then it consolidated for several months before breaking out again. It's been running steadily since mid-October, when it was down about in the $10 range, all the way to over 21, so it's more than 100% just in the last 90 days, and it's climbing. 23 and 27 going forward are my targets. GSUN. Folks, this is a new one that I've been talking to a couple clients of mine about. That they tell me it's the same, almost the same company as Mark in terms of what they're doing, artificial intelligence stuff. But what I like about it is after the IPO and it came down from the high teens into the low single, mid-single digits, it based out for a long time. Today, in the last couple of days, I should say, it broke through the declining top sign of big volume, came off yesterday a little bit, and today even bigger volume broke it out to the upside. It didn't close great, but it closed above or at the resistance level, which tells me this is going to go forward. 14 and 16, 16 and a half are my next targets going forward. Let's draw a line across there. Those are my targets. I may put a swing on this tomorrow. I like it a lot. Look at the climb in the OBV right there, and volume as well. So this one seems to be initiating a new uptrend in my opinion. Kush bottles. Wow, what a nice trend on this one. And it took out the September, October highs from last year. So for me, this is new all-time high territory, I believe. No, there was a spike when it first went public, but I don't believe that one. Anyway, the bottom line is I think this climbs to the 8-9 level eventually. Be careful though, it's a little overbought. But good momentum. And speaking of Mark, after 7 days in a row and a new multi-year high, it hit 15.10 today. My target was 15 before backing off to 13.77, closed 14.10, only off a nickel, so it's kind of unchanged. Volume receded a little bit, so did some of the technicals, but for the most part, what I'm really looking for here, now that it's reached its target, is get a little consolidation, and then maybe we run to 20. Swing trade MRTX is also ramping up, coming out of a 2-month consolidation yesterday, and today a follow-through of another $1.45 or 6.7%. Looks to me like 25.6 is my short-term target. Long-term, this could be a big one. 45 or even 50 won't be out of the question. There's going to be something in between, I believe, though, more about 34.5. NVCR. I put out a new swing on it. We gave you one back in April, but I was watching the stock and watching the stock, and for months it was consolidating. Then it got really narrow. Yesterday it started to pop, and today it followed through, but it didn't close great, although it did close above the breakout point. That's what I usually look for. Let's see if we get a follow-through tomorrow. The volume was huge today, and it certainly took out a lot of offers. Targeting 25.5, 6, and then 29. 8.65 days to cover. Pixelworks, an old swing of ours from back in here, is working and ramping up, and I got to my first target of 7 today. The next target is 8 3/4, 8.5 3/4, and let's see if we can get up through that mid-channel line and start to ramp up towards the upper channel. If that happens, we may see 10, 11 over the next few weeks. 4 days to cover on that one. SND. Well, some of these sand fracking stocks, including Silica, EMES, doing well, but SND popped a nice $1.32 at 13.5%, and it did it on 1.8 million. That's the biggest volume on an update since July, and the biggest volume in this new uptrend. I think we're going to continue this run, but it is at the top of the channel. It'll have to accelerate, targeting 13.5 and 16.5, 17. 5.4 days to cover. Some of the solar stocks did well. I showed you first solar. How about number 2, SPWR? Big basis form. Now, obviously, in July when it ran up and then came down to retest, this whole pattern has one big base. But in order to make a major long-term move, this has got to take out 11.5 3/4. And first, obviously, we got to take out 9 3/4. So if we take out 9 3/4 here, I'll be looking for about 11.5. Beyond that, my secondary target is 13 3/4, 14. You may get that. Good company. Teva, well, this has been channeling up beautifully, and today the accelerated rising flag broke out with a thrust of $1.70 or 8.5%. It looks to me like 22 3/4, 23 is my first target, followed by 26.7. Trupanion broke out of a 2-month consolidation range, and it did it with an increase in volume of over 500,000, the biggest volume on an update since early November when it popped there. I think this is going to extend this time, and I'm looking for 39.40 with a huge short position of nearly 32 days to cover. A little gold stock USAU has been ramping. Look at the declining channel that broke right there. A wedge formed, and from $1.65 it was ramped to 284, and I mean quickly, in about a week and a half, with big volume along the way. Now there's a big line of resistance up here, which would be my target. That comes in about 325.45. That's my next target. Ultimately, though, I think it's a much bigger number, but we'll see. V-Ray. Well, how about that stock? I put out a swing on this today, too, because I feel like this is on the verge of a big ramp up, and it stuck its head out above resistance on 1.9 million shares and closed right at the breakout point. I just showed you that on a few other stocks. But the move in the last 3 days with good volume tells me this is a $12 and $14 stock going forward, 14 days to cover. In addition, it's had a nice couple-month consolidation to support a nice move. And finally, WTI, our junior oil from a couple days ago, what was that, last week? Right, January 3rd at 403. It made it up to 491 today. My targets remain 5 3/4, 7 and 8. I like this overall chart a lot. Look at the base pattern on this. A beautiful base. This can support a nice move. I would not be shocked to see the next few weeks take this towards $8. And that's it for tonight, everybody. You all have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you, a good evening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, which is the last day before we have a 3-day holiday. No market on Monday. This is HB out. Have a good one. And let's make some money tomorrow.